Hi, so I'm here today to talk about being a fairyologist, and I'll give you a little background about that. So, I grew up hearing a lot of stories from my family who were originally from Europe, and they talked a lot about fairies, specifically Celtic fairies in Ireland. I heard a lot about that. I heard stories about how if there was a problem with the well, because they lived in the country, that they would talk to the fairies, the well fairies, the element of water. They would talk to the well fairies to help with the well, to make the well better again. And that's kind of how they did that. Also, I heard stories from my grandmother, who was born in Ireland, and she would tell me stories about how her mom would leave milk outside for the leprechauns. And the two to go together because leprechauns are fairies. I'm sure you probably didn't know this, but being a mystic, which I am, and this is probably why I'm a mystic, is because I've heard about all these things my whole life. And being a mystic, I believe that there are different realms. I believe that everything goes to a higher power, and not everybody's higher power is the same. But I believe that we all have a higher power, and not everybody has to believe in the same ones or believe in one at all. So, but my beliefs are that the fairies are the earth angels, and they take care of the ground near us. Fairies come in all different forms. And the term fairyologist came from Doreen Virtue. However, long before I ever heard of Doreen Virtue or heard about other people who believed that fairies might exist other than my Celtic family, I read this book called Wicca, and it is by Elaine McCoy. And sadly, Elaine McCoy is not with us anymore. She's passed on into the spirit realm now, so rest her soul where she is. But this book, if anybody would like to read this book, it talks about very cool, it's got some pictures in it, not many, but some diagrams, very cool things that are in. See, there's a maypole on the cover here. Some things that we can do as people to help honor the earth, help honor Mother Earth. And this is a great book. Wicca is called. And Wicca is a kind of religion. This one is the Irish pagan tradition. So you can call that a religion. And it's all about being the keepers of the earth. The other beings that help us be keepers of the earth are the fairies. And in this book, you'll find out all about all different kinds of fairies. There are fairies who are fairies that we talk about at St. Patrick's Day, the Irish, obviously. And those are leprechauns. Leprechauns are fairies, but you didn't know that. And so are unicorns, fairies. So are mermaids, fairies, jinns, genies, fairies. They're obviously not from the pagan tradition or the Celtic pagan tradition, but they are nonetheless fairies. So if you want to read this book, Elaine McCoy, Wicca, very awesome, awesome book. I learned a lot from this book. It doesn't really look loved because the binding isn't broken, but I'm very careful with my books. And this was a great book. So that led me to, once I started learning about Doreen Virtue, and I became a certified fairyologist, and learned all about where Doreen Virtue was coming from at the time. She's not there now because she kind of retired from doing any metaphysics, but she had another class called Fairyology. And here is my certificate. Certified Jennifer Blythe Nichols. See, completed Fairyologist course and is now certified with all the rights and privileges. And see, I don't like these fairies. And incidentally, I do not believe that fairies look like little winged creatures. I really don't. I believe that fairies look much like energy balls. Energy balls. I don't know how else to explain it, but that's how I see them. Doreen Virtue also wrote this very cool book called Fairies 101. And this book has beautiful, beautiful pictures in it. And it talks about where the fairies came from over in Europe. It does a lot of focus on the Celtic fairies as well. But see how beautiful that is? And then it's got a picture of Doreen Virtue on the back. And also, again, she doesn't want to be affiliated with this stuff, but I do. I still want to be affiliated into this, and I incorporate a lot of this into my readings, especially if I'm using the fairy tarot cards. I incorporate it into my readings because fairies are a lot of symbolism, because they, to our human eye, they are interpreted as things like mermaids being seen in the sea, being little winged creatures, or horses with, long unicorn horns, or leprechauns. I mean, they're all different kinds. However, I don't see them that way. I believe that the energy comes to us when we need it, when we need our houses taken care of. We call on specific, hence a leprechaun, because leprechauns take care of your home. That's what they do. And that is why my grandmother said that their family would leave milk out for the leprechauns. Every night, they would leave milk out, a bowl of milk out for the leprechauns. And in the morning, the milk would be gone because the leprechauns would be happy. And if you didn't keep your leprechaun happy, then he made your life a living hell. And they were very, very about solitude. But if you go out into nature, you see the nursing fairies who, well, actually, you can't see a fairy straight on. When you feel a fairy's presence, and if you look off, you will see the fairy in your peripheral vision over here, because they don't like to be looked at right on. So if you ask for the nursing fairies, who are outside in your garden, in your yard, taking care of the outside of your house, they will help take care of your plants that are outside. I personally have 2 fairy trees on my property. I have one in my backyard and I have one in my front yard. And I decorate them very pretty. In my backyard, I wanted that to be a sturdy, that's a northern exposure right there. So I wanted that to be the sturdy area where the northern energy, the earth energy was going to be felt. I have a gnome back there, and I have a ceramic gnome, and I also have a protective gnome that you can't see, but I know that he's there, and he lets me know that he's there, and he protects my backyard. In my front yard, I have a very pretty, more frolicky, has baubles hanging from it and stuff, fairy tree that you can see from the street. And I love them. I love them very much. And pretty much that's what being a fairyologist is all about. It's my job to teach people how to be nice and protect the earth energy angels that are here in this plane with us. I don't see them as winged creatures. I see them as little balls of energy. And sometimes, depending on how great the problem is or what I'm looking for, they might be bigger balls of energy. I make fairy charms to put on my trees. I make fairy charms to give away to other people who know the fairies like I do. I definitely keep leprechauns in my office here so that they can be seen and respected. And in my readings, as I said, I have oracle cards that go along with my tarot cards, and the oracle cards are mermaids and unicorns. We also get into just simple butterflies, things like that, because that's what I envision that fairies are about the size of, like butterflies. But again, as I said, they are more energy balls. They're not a specific detailed outline of a fairy like Tinkerbell or something like that. So that's what being a fairyologist is all about. That's a term that Doreen Virtue came up with a long time ago when I guess she decided to do this whole metaphysical thing before she decided to retire from it. And I'm glad she did, because it gave me a reason to pursue more of what I already believed to be real, because I had been told it from when I was young. And I believe that the earth angels are here to help us make the planet healthy. And we need to do what we can to take care of the fairies, and also the fairies will help us take care of the land, because we want to take care of our earth. But so in my reading, so this is what the outside of the deck of the tarot card looks like of the fairy readings. And then these are what the inside looked like. And I did write on some of them because when I first got this deck, excuse my nasty nails, when I first got this deck, they were gilded with this very pretty silver gilding around the outside, but it made it so hard to shuffle. And I really was believing that the fairies who I had called to help me do the readings were giving me a hard time. They were kind of in a snit, because if I put them on the table with the other cards, they didn't seem to want to work. If I moved everything else away and I had just the fairy cards out, they worked well, because that's the energy of the fairies. If you do a reading with a traditional tarot card, as opposed to the fairy tarot, as opposed to the angel tarot, the readings are going to come out the same, but the energy is going to be different. If you read tarot, or if you know what tarot is about, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's different energy. Even though the reading might come out the same, it's different energy. And these fairy tarots they have a little bit of an attitude with them. So I always tell people in my readings that the angel tarot cards will say, I understand, I was there, I saw the whole thing happen. Oh my goodness, you can right your wrong. It's okay. That's the energy of the angel tarots. With the fairy tarots, you're going to get, oh, I was there, I saw what you did, you better right your wrong, because you're going to end up paying for it in the long run. So let's just do this the right way and stop being silly. That's what these are, which is very the energy of fairies and angels. So one is earth angels, which are the fairies. The other one are angels, which are the angels. And archangels, I don't believe that those are winged creatures either, as I'm making my wings. I don't believe that those are winged creatures either. I believe that those are also balls of energy, and they have different colored lights. If you go to, I think it's called the Rumen, it's a chart, I forgot what it's called, resonance, Rumen resonance, and it shows what the energy from the sunbeams coming in, the electromagnetic energy coming into the Earth's atmosphere, but it's in like the ionosphere or something. There was pictures of that National Geographic took, and it showed the exact, what I had been telling people for years. These are the energy balls that I see. This is how they look. And I would explain to them what I was seeing in my third eye. And sure enough, that Schumann resonance came out, and it was the exact pictures that I was talking about. So basically, in a nutshell, that's what being a fairyologist is all about. It's just a term that Doreen Virtue came up with. Oh, look, you can see the reflection. Ooh, interesting. So it was her term Whether she did this or not, I would still be dealing with fairies. My grandmother is convinced, or was convinced when I talked to her, and especially right before she died, she was convinced that a ship that they came on from Europe when they came here when she was a little girl had their house fairies with them because it was their job as their house leprechaun to watch after them and keep them safe. And I don't know if he's here with me. I don't think he is. I would like him to be here with me, but my heart's telling me he isn't here with me. And that's probably because she was the last one from their household to be here. And now she's in the spirit realm also, along with Elaine McCoy. So this is a great book if you want to read it. If you are interested in reading any of the Doreen Virtue Fairy 101, I don't even know if this is still in print, but you can see it's a good book either way. The class was actually on Hay House, and it was a good class. It wasn't my cup of tea as far as the graphics and everything. I even thought it was just a little bit ridiculous. It would have, imaginary animated unicorns walking up to her and she would feed it an apple and everything. I don't like that. But I don't know about unicorns for sure, but I can tell you that the nursing fairies are real. The leprechauns, I don't know if they want to be here with us. I don't think that they go by generations. If they do, maybe they stayed with my mom and her generation and my cousins. I don't know, but I don't think that the house leprechaun is here with me. But I know that my grandmother was very fond of him. So that's my little story about being a fairyologist. Just a term that Doreen Virtue came up with. And if you believe in the fairies, you can call yourself a fairyologist. You can call yourself whatever you want, but that's what it's all about. So thank you very much for spending this few minutes with me. I will see you next Monday for Mystic Monday. And I will talk about something that is also, it was a Doreen Virtue class, but it doesn't really have too much to do with mysticism. This is very serious. I'll post pictures of it on my Facebook page, the White Light Mystic Live Facebook page. If you're watching me on YouTube, then please look me up at White Light Mystic Live on Facebook. And also, anybody who's watching this, if you could look up my webpage, www.whitelightmystic.com, and I'll show you a little bit about what I do, what I believe, different things. But I will talk next Monday, about being a certified assertiveness coach, the difference between being assertive and being aggressive. And this was a really good class. It doesn't really fall into the metaphysical field, but it was a really great class that I took. And it's something that we need, especially women, I feel that we need. And it'll also tell you how to, talk to your mom, learn how to say no. So, in any case, see you next Monday, Mystic Monday. It's been great. Have a good one.